Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Shinobi, brought to us by Tengen. The NES version of Shinobi is just one of the many released copies of the game. It was also released originally on the arcade and also had ports on home consoles such as the TurboGrafx-16 and the Sega Master System. However, this port of the NES game by Tengen is considered widely inferior to the arcade version and even some of the other console-released versions. In Shinobi, we take control of a ninja named Joe Musashi, who has to stop a criminal organization called Zed, who are kidnapping children of the Oboro clan. Throughout the game, you're taking out different enemies as well as bosses, while also saving children in each level to continue throughout the game. So here we go with Shinobi for the NES. Each of the levels, though, are broken up into several stages. The first level is against Ken O, and we must go through a couple stages before we're actually able to fight him. Since the game is really based off an arcade game, a lot of our main point is just to gain a lot of score. To do this, we're really going to be defeating enemies as well as saving all the children in each of the levels. Joe's main attack is his shurikens, which he can throw out in order to actually hit enemies. Most enemies in the game will only take one hit in order to defeat them. You do have a health meter located in the upper left corner of the screen. Of course, once that runs out, you will lose a life. In each of the levels, there's usually multiple platforms to walk across, as you're able to hold jump as well as up at the same time in order to get up on them, as well as hold down and jump in order to jump back down. At the end of the levels, if you've collected all the children, you're able to do a bonus game. In this bonus game, you move back and forth while showing shurikens at all the different ninjas that run by. This can be a little bit tricky because it only takes one ninja to break through in order to defeat you and stop the bonus game. However, you're not quite sure which ones of the ninjas are actually going to jump and attack you. For defeating the bonus stage, you get a bonus score as well as a special move. The special move, though, the lightning bolt that we have, is very tricky to pull off. You can only use the special magic at certain times, and you actually have to press both A and B at the same time in order to do it. I'll probably be able to pull off at least one of them throughout the course of the game. For the most part, in Shinobi, the key to getting better at it is just memorization of all the enemies and when they're going to appear in the levels. Take your time very slowly through each stage, and when you see an enemy, try to take it out from a distance before trying to get head-on with it. You can see the magic flashing at the center of the upper screen. That means I would actually be able to use it at that point. As we begin the fight against Ken O, watch out for the flames that he shoots out, and make small jumps in order to deliver shurikens or ninja stars right to the head of him. You have to hit him pretty much right between the eyes in order to actually do damage to him. If you don't hit him in the right spot, it won't do damage, and after only a few of them, he'll fall down and you'll complete the first level. Our main enemy for level 2 is the Black Turtle helicopter, where we actually have to fight a helicopter as it drops off many different enemies while we're trying to fight it. By saving the children in each level, not only do you gain access to the bonus stage, you also get power-ups to your health meter as well as extra health, as well as power-ups to your weapon, eventually changing your shuriken over to a gun. Since the bonus stage doesn't change every time you do it, I'm probably only going to play it a few more times throughout the game. Most of the time when I unlock it, I'll just sit there and let the enemy hit me, or just mess around throwing out the ninja stars and just wait for it to finally end. But walking enemies with the swords in the air, you actually have to duck and hit them in the lower area of their body in order to actually hit them. In this stage, you can actually fall in the water and you won't be hurt, but every time you get near a pool of water, an enemy will jump out and try to attack you. If you time it right, you should be able to attack the enemy before it's actually able to attack you if you time it right. Just be prepared at almost every stretch of water, an enemy will probably pop out, even though there is a couple where they won't. At the end of this stage, it's now time to battle the helicopter after the bonus game. For the helicopter battle, you need to attack it in the front of the helicopter, hitting that little yellow thing at the very front. Delivering enough hits to it will send the helicopter down and complete the stage. If you're quick about it, you should be able to destroy the helicopter before it's able to release too many of the enemies at you. The next set of levels is for the boss Mandara, which is probably one of the most interesting and tough bosses to deal with throughout the game. As you probably noticed, for the most part, most of the enemies in the game are pretty much the same ones every level. As we get farther in, there will be a few different enemies that get thrown into the mix, but a lot of them are pretty much the same ones. And this stage is the first level to have the jumping ninja enemies, and these enemies are probably the most annoying throughout the game. You'll be seeing them a lot from now on, and when they come in to attack you, it's best to try to get the timing right so you can hit them on their first descent down. Like I said before, in this game, it's really just key to just take your time and be able to know what each of the enemy types are basically going to be able to do, which most of them are just going to stand still, dodge whatever their projectile, if they even have one, and then deliver your hit, usually by just ducking their projectile and delivering that shuriken right to them. This level is very tricky. At the very beginning, you're going to have two of those walking sword guys right next to you, which are going to run into you most likely. Try to do your best to get out of their hits, and then duck down and take out both of them with a shuriken. This level is probably one of the harder ones to deal with at first, because not only do you have those guys, you're also going to have a few of those jumping blue ninjas coming at you as well. Once you reach the end of the stage, though, it's time for the battle against Mandara, and this is not an easy fight. Start off as soon as you appear, jump, and naturally you'll be able to attack from the top Mandara. Just stand on the ground and just keep mashing the attack button absolutely as fast as possible with your shuriken, or if you have powered up abilities, you'll have your gun now. Once you finally destroy the last one, you will then have to move on to the next part of the boss. If you're unfortunately not able to destroy them all in time, you will get knocked back into the lightning and lose a life. On the second form, just keep jumping up and down and attacking the crystal on the head of the statue in order to destroy it. This is another one of the tricky stages as we start off with some blue jumping ninjas. Either try to avoid them, or just make sure you're able to land an attack as they're coming back down towards you. If for some reason, though, you do get a bunch of them ganged up on you at one time, or if you can get them following you for a little bit, when you get the opportunity to use your lightning attack, pull it off by pressing both A and B at the same time in order to destroy all enemies on screen. The lunging enemies will give you a couple of seconds real quick in order to fire at them before they're actually able to make contact with you. On these ledges, just be very careful to shoot enemies from a distance, or just stand still and slowly edge your way over to the edge before you actually attempt to make it over the jump. The next level is more of the same, as there's lots of different pits that you can fall in throughout this stage. The key here is just to slowly work your way over to each edge, attacking enemies before you start to make your jump over. Sometimes though you may have to attack in mid-air while attempting to make it over a few of the pits. Next up is the boss, the Red Lobster. You can make your own joke there. You have to jump up and attack him directly in the face as he slowly gets closer to you. If you time your shots right, you'll keep being able to knock him back and he won't be able to deliver any attacks to you. Once he's done, it's time to move on to the final set of levels. The final few levels of the game, of course, are jam-packed full of enemies, and usually the tougher ones throughout the game. Very early on, move up to the top portion of the stage to avoid falling in any of the giant pits. Jump down every little bit just to pick up one of the children to save them, and then jump right back up. As this level begins, you have some of those flying ninjas that are going to jump down. Just stand still and stop for a second, waiting for them to fall down and deliver a quick hit to defeat them. Sometimes, though, they're so quick and you're on different platforms from them, so they're going to end up running into you every once in a while. Once you're able to make it through, it's only one more level left before the final boss. This stage can be a little bit tricky to navigate, as you have small areas where you're going to have to be able to jump up and down between the different floors. Sometimes you'll have to jump up in between two enemies, and sometimes enemies are just so close together they're going to end up hitting you and bouncing you around. The key is to try not to get bounced around too much and deliver hits to them when possible. Also, waiting for the right opportunity will definitely help out and avoid taking too much unnecessary damage. When we make it to the end, it's now time for the final boss of the game. As we start off, the boss starts off by jumping towards you. If you time your shots correctly, shoot him every time he lands and you'll be able to knock him away from you. After delivering a few hits, he then starts using a tornado move. Shoot at him every time the tornado stops. In his clone form, deliver a few hits to him every time he lands, and then on his final form when he's moving back and forth really fast, just mash the attack button as fast as possible to deliver those hits and finish him off. Once he's done, we get our ending screen, which just has the end and our score at the bottom. Overall, this is probably one of the most disappointing of the Shinobi ports to any of the home consoles. And other than that, there really isn't too much to say about it. And with that, that's going to wrap up this edition of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.